Greetings, one and all, to the most cursed, most cringiest corner of the internet. A YouTube channel content creator actively alienating everyone in both the analog and digital world. Well, welcome and good evening, wonderful dice of all alignments. I am Lunar D8. And if you ever wanted to hear an antisocial, socially awkward otaku read a visual novel, you're in the right place. I am quite the fan of both video games and anime in general, but especially ones with a good soundtrack. I am playing this game blind, but I've heard it has a good soundtrack. I suppose 3 anime I would suggest quite highly. Bubblegum Crisis Tokyo 2040, Ghost in the Shell, and Serial Lane Experiments. Feel free to suggest any video games, anime that you think are good. And while I am a bit of a tsundere, I do appreciate anyone stopping by and watching these videos. And while you're here at my channel, I genuinely do hope you enjoy your stay. I'm not monetized, I never will be. Though I don't see any reason why YouTube would ever wish to monetize me. But even if I had 1 million subscribers and YouTube wanted to monetize me, no, I'm explicitly against it. While I'm happy for other content creators if they go that route, and I even cheer them on. Not for me. I'm never gonna make a cent from ad revenue or be monetized. I'm never gonna have ads or super chats or sponsors. Well, YouTube might put ads on my channel in the future, but I have no control over that. And if they do, I'll make no money from it. But I'll never make a cent from this channel. I'm just some crazy otaku weeb who talks to himself, and it seems a little less crazy if there's a computer screen in front of me. But I've delayed starting this game long enough. Let's hop into this, shall we? Bah! OBS-chan seems to be working just fine. So, also, I believe this game has a DLC after story. Let me know if that's worth trying, but of course, let's play the base game first. begin. And here I'd figured he'd be the one embarrassed to show up late. So much for playing it cool, huh? I let my exhaustion get the better of me and arrived too early. I would have felt guilty otherwise, making him wait at some station he'd never visited after the long trip here. Wonder how tall Suzumu is. Couldn't really tell from the photo. Suzumu was my distant relative. Like me, he was 16 and a junior in high school. Starting this spring, he would be living here in Tsusoda, going to the same school as me too. He said he'd know where my place was, but normally you pick people up at the station, right? Still though, that was no excuse for my premature arrival. It should be nice if he got in a little bit early. He seemed like the punctual type, so I figured he'd be more likely to get here 5 minutes ahead of time. There was no way he'd show up an hour early. Yet, I had to go and get the brilliant idea to show up over an hour ahead of schedule anyway. I wasn't trying to get that carried away, but honestly, it just kind of happened. Killing time at a chic cafe shop would be ideal for this sort of situation, but, well, I didn't want to waste over 300 yen of my meager allowance on a single cup of coffee. So there I was, leaning against a pillar in front of the ticket gate, looking like a fool as I stared off into space. At first, I was worried about my hair looking funny, like I was waiting for my first date or something. But those silly feelings passed after a while. Eventually, I found myself simply staring blankly at the bustling crowds of people, my mind as blank and staticky as a TV tuned to a dead channel. No matter how much I checked my phone, it wouldn't change the fact that I still had another 50 or so minutes to go. It'd be nice if I could find a game or something to pass the time. But since I was still recharging MP in Wanyadora, I couldn't play it for another 12 hours. Personally, I'd think you'd be surprised at how popular a spot train stations are for suicides. All of a sudden, my channel locked onto a single voice speaking amidst the crowds. The voice appeared to be that of a young office worker, all by herself, perhaps talking on the phone. Getting to any of the really big spots is a journey in and of itself, isn't it? It takes a lot of courage, resolve, and even time. I mean, have you ever thought of how much work it takes to get all the way out to Aokigahara? First, you've got to look into how to get there. Hop on a train, switch line after line, and then walk all the way up there.
普通死ぬためだけにそこまでやるかね。家で首つった方がどんだけ楽かって思うでしょ?
And all that just to kill yourself. Don't you think simply hanging yourself at home would be much easier? She was discussing a rather morbid topic with the same energy one would the latest fashions and trends. That said, I had to admit it was fascinating.
首吊るのだってそうそう簡単じゃないって。首を吊るロープかその代わりのものなんてそうそう家にはないよ。
But even hanging yourself isn't all that simple. Most people don't have anything thick enough to do the job lying around, do they? Now that she mentioned it, I couldn't think of anything at my place that could support my weight. Going to the store to get a rope or something just to hang yourself seemed like a real fast way to kill the mood. Yeah, even just hanging yourself took effort.
自殺ってさ、初恋の男の子に今だって告白するような勢いとタイミングでするもんでしょ?
You need to find both the right incentive and the right timing to kill yourself. Just like confessing to your first crush, wouldn't you say? That was quite the smile. It was in no way a funny topic, yet I almost giggled. The days of seppuku were long in the past, so most suicides these days were done on impulse. With that, I saw that she was getting at about train stations being suicide hotspots.
ってさ、学生でも社会人でも誰もが日常に利用している場所なわけだよね。
Train stations are places everyone uses in their day-to-day lives, whether they're young or old.
それでホームで電車を待っている時間ってどんなに忙しい人でも自分を顧みるいい時間になるわけじゃん?
And no matter how busy you are, waiting on the platform for the train to come is a good time to reflect on yourself. And so, in those few minutes waiting for the train, it could cross your mind how easy it would be to just end it all. Train platforms were truly a wonder in that sense. If the thought of killing yourself passed through your head, you wouldn't even need to prepare anything special. All it would take is a few steps towards the edge of the platform. Sure, you'd have to wait for a train first, but those arrived every few minutes during the busy hours. A desire to die, and a few minutes of spacing out, that was all you needed. And it was all just a hop, skip, and a jump away.
ね、最高の自殺スポットだと思わない?
It's the best suicide spot there is, don't you think?
コンビニやカラオケくらいに身近でお手軽なカジュアルな自殺スポットだと思うわけ。
So quick and easy, just as close as a convenience store or karaoke bar.
疲れたらコンビニで栄養剤買ったり、カラオケでストレス発散したりとかするでしょ?
If you're
でもそれと同じじゃないかなって。
If you're tired, you go buy an energy drink. If you're stressed, you go sing, right? I feel like train stations are kind of the same. So in other words, when you're tired of life, it should be okay to treat the idea of killing yourself almost casually. That's what she was saying. Suicide was supposed to be really tragic and serious, right? Yet, this woman was talking about how death shouldn't be considered that big of a deal. Like cutting your hair short for a change of pace or splurging on a fantastic overseas vacation. In other words, resetting your life should be treated just as lightly as all of that. I didn't know if it was because I was sleepy or what, but her words felt like they were awakening something awfully new and fascinating inside of me. Yeah, you're right. Maybe you don't have to be at the end of your rope to consider suicide after all. Like how you might just change up your hair after a breakup. Or how you might treat yourself to a makeover or a new purse on a whim. Maybe it really should be treated as casually as that. Really? You know, I think the word suicide is a bit too extreme. Yeah. When really, it feels just as rejuvenating as having a spa day to exfoliate and boost your metabolism. So maybe we shouldn't go as far as to say we're killing ourselves. But instead that we're redoing our lives. Don't you think that has a wonderful ring to it? Rejuvening our lives, huh? Yeah, that did have a real nice ring to it. It was only then that I realized that the woman had been talking to me. She was leaning against the other side of the pillar. I turned around and locked eyes with her. She was an older woman, in her 20s or so, with stunning long hair and a somewhat compassionate aura around her. It's a real eye-opener, I'll tell you. It never hits you until right then just how easy it is. You feel like such an idiot for having worried over nothing for so long. Disclaimer: Lunar D8 does not condone or encourage suicide. Don't kill yourselves. Don't kill yourself, bro! It's like, Don't do suicide, bro. I hear that shit kills you. Have you ever rejuved yourself? Yes. She answered as if I had simply asked for the time. Wait, hold on a second. I felt as though my entire world had been turned upside down. I grew as dizzy as if heaven and earth had been inverted, and the sounds of the crowds around me grew distant, deafening, as though someone had turned up the volume on them. That's called a panic attack! All of a sudden, I found myself at the very front of a crowded platform. Beyond where the waiting line would usually start. I wasn't even a full step away from going over the edge. But there was a sea of people behind me. It was as packed as a can of sardines. Trying to force them back did no good, and if I tried to push my way through them, they pushed back just as hard. Go on. Look down. I heard the woman close by, but I couldn't see her. I didn't plan on listening to her, but a push from behind instinctively drew my eyes to my feet. I was stunned by what I found. Where there should have been gravel and train tracks was instead a vast blue sky, spreading out as far as the eye could see. Beautiful fields of clouds adorned that light blue sea. It was like I was looking down from a floating island. No, wait. Those clouds seem familiar. They were just like those towering cumulonimbus clouds I had seen one summer when I was a kid, lying on a field in a nature park. That's right. There wasn't a sky below me. The sky I had looked up at on that day was under my eyes. And just as soon as I realized that, I felt as though gravity had been turned on its head. My chest grew light with the desire to be sucked into that blue ocean. Like that feeling you get when you finally reach the top of a tall slide after waiting in a long line. Come along. But there's no need to be scared. It's easy, really. You'll feel like a fool. Forever worrying about it. The woman appeared before me, holding her hand out to me. I had no idea how she got there without me noticing. Almost like she'd walked up to me as I lay gazing at the sky on that field, inviting me to go with her. And it wasn't just her. There were other women there, her friends or coworkers, maybe along with men in suits. Though it felt like they were inviting me to a barbecue or something. They looked so out of place in the suits that it felt kinda silly to me. But that means jumping off the platform, right? But there was an announcement signal, signaling the arrival of the next train, and yet everyone was coaxing me over to them with their faces plastered with blissful smiles, almost like they were telling me I'd miss the train if I didn't hurry. But couldn't they hear the screeching of metal against the tracks? The train was coming. I couldn't jump. If I did, I'd... Come on. Hurry up. Don't be scared. It doesn't hurt. Hurry, hurry. You're going to miss it. Everyone said that as they reached out and waved to me, like telling me I'd miss out on all the fun if I didn't come along. But they were asking the impossible because hadn't they all been crushed to pieces? Their hands, feet, and heads were all crushed to pieces, weren't they? There was no blue sky, just a blanket of scattered stone, dyed reddish brown by the elements and rust. Faded metal rails, like prison bars, reaching out into the distance. It was from there that the dead moaned, pushing through the track, ballast, as they desperately reached out to me. Their own buried hell, beneath the stone, its residents doomed to be crushed under the weight of each passing train, unnoticed by the living. Day after day, the mutilated dead moaned, there in agony as they desperately sought new companions. One of them had become nothing more than a partially crushed head. Another's outstretched hand had fallen right off their arm. An indecipherable jumble of hands and feet squeezed through the stones as they beckoned me over. Chills ran through me from head to toe. I wanted to back away, but the sea of people behind were pushing back just as hard against me, No, even harder. Stop! I'm gonna fall. However, they were clearly winning. My toes had already stretched out past the platform and were trembling in midair. I stretched my arms as far as they could go, grabbing onto someone behind me and held on for dear life. But the encroaching wall of flesh kept pushing. By this point, my heels were already halfway over the platform. The eyes of the mechanical carnivore gleamed as it grew closer. The train rushed forward, crushing the moaning dead underfoot as it did. The screams of the damned joined in chorus with the metallic screeching as the train approached with its fierce velocity. It'll swallow me whole if I don't get out of the way. But just then, I found myself dancing in midair. At that moment, the stone graveyard of the suffering dead suddenly transformed into that magnificent sky once again. I couldn't tell if I was falling or floating. Congratulations. Congratulations. Everyone stood on that field of grass under the sky, their arms raised as if in celebration, and waited for me. I fell gently into their clutches. Almost like I was light as a feather. Their countless hands caught me comfortably. See? That wasn't so scary now, was it? Welcome to our world.
あなたと一緒に来れて嬉しいよ。だって誰にも私の声が届かないんだもの。
We're happy to have you. After all, no one can hear us. There is no pain or suffering here, nor sorrow, nor anger, no irritation or frustration either. They are all things of the past here. Ha! Of course, the same goes for hope, salvation, resurrection, and rebirth. Heh, ha ha, hee ha ha ha. The transient illusion was all a lie. The sky, clouds, field, and people who'd welcomed me all vanished. I was lying on the rails, bound tight by the countless hands. That's right, I was a sacrifice to the steel behemoth. My body was gnawed down to nothing by the jaws of the train in the blink of an eye. All my bones broke with a sound akin to the crunching of a candy bar. I heard that with the ear remaining on my severed head. Naturally, not even my severed head could escape those steel jaws, of course. Who would have thought that sound could be music to one's ears? Crunch, smash. What a pleasant sound. Like sinking your incisors into the skin of a crisp, candied apple. It was a bit of a surprise to discover how gratifying it was to have my body devoured. Deep down I understood it was an evil, detestable temptation. But being so thoroughly gnawed at was a sensation both satisfying and amusing beyond comprehension. You know how it feels good when you're stretching and you feel your joints crack? Well, try picturing that, but all over your body, like goosebumps, and it keeps happening over and over again. Then you might understand. Crunch, smash. I knew, of course, that I shouldn't get into that kind of pleasure. But by that point, my body had been reduced a little more than an assortment of paste and limbs strewn across the rails. What little there was left of me was being dragged under the tracks. A world of crushed limbs and innards. But it seemed that wasn't enough to kill them. Agonized moans filled the air. I understood. This was liberation. I didn't have to remember my day-to-day life any longer. I didn't have to keep spacing out and waiting without end. Waiting? Hold on. Why did I come to this station again? Oh well, who cared? It didn't matter anymore. Oh, another train was coming. The wheels of the train crushed hundreds more limbs and torsos and organs. Crunch, smash, hee hee. A blinding light gradually intruded on my ecstasy, and all traces of thought came to an end. Hey, are you okay? Subakako panted as she returned to reality. She was leaning against the pillar in front of the station, waiting for Suzumu. That was still the same. But one thing was different. Time had advanced to the point of Suzumu's arrival. Suzumo? You looked like you were in pain just now. Did I? Maybe I drifted off. Subakiko gave a slight nod as she suggested that perhaps she'd been spacing out for so long she'd had a waking dream. Are you alright? Do you want to rest a bit? I'm fine. I just spaced out a bit, really. Did you have a bad dream or something? Dreams can sometimes be so clear that they feel real when you're in them. Yet in most cases, you barely remember what they were about the moment you wake up. Subakiko couldn't put it into words. All she knew was that it was a bizarre, grotesque daydream. She couldn't recall anything more than that. But as she stared at Suzumu's face, her mind started clearing up. She could feel herself returning to reality. The daydream being driven away in a flash. She had already completely forgotten that fantastical delusion that had taken hold of her. People don't tend to retain every detail of the daydreams or fantasies they might have when spacing out, after all. Fantasies like this happen all the time. Sorry, I got here a little early, so I must have dozed off. Oh, how early are we talking? About an hour, maybe? Wow. That's amazing. You waited for me that long. I wasn't really waiting for you or anything. I just, happened to get here a little bit early. That's all. Whatever, boys aren't supposed to get caught up on that sort of stuff anyway. Well, I hope everyone out there has a good day. And I hope all of you have all the hugs and head pats you could ever want or need. And in case you need to hear it, just so you know, you are enough. And I'm glad you stopped by. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.